Welcome to Barn Banter by Horse Illustrated, a podcast with something for all horse lovers. I'm Raquel Lynn from Los Angeles. You might know me from my blogs, Horses and Heels, or Stable Style.
And I'm Susan Friedland from Saddle Seeks Horse. Raquel and I grew up reading Horse Illustrated magazine and riding as much as possible.
Today, we both write for the magazine and are friends in real life.
Join us each month as we do one of our favorite things, talk about horses and the horse lifestyle.
Today, we're chatting with equestrian entrepreneur Taylor Hall of the Tried Equestrian about show clothes, consignment, and saving money. Then we catch up with Breyer enthusiast Elizabeth Orris and dive into all things Breyer and Breyer Fest. Finally, we learn about Atlas, this month's adoptable horse. Hi, Susan. Happy June.
Happy June back to you. Are you experiencing some June gloom there in Los Angeles?
Definitely. It's a little bit chilly, but you know what? I'm okay with it because soon we will all be sweating and complaining.
Oh my goodness. Well, the weather may be gloomy, but I know you have some pretty cheerful, sunny, and exciting news that you want to share with our listeners.
Yeah, so I just actually shared it on my Instagram a couple of weeks ago. I am expecting a baby girl. So
yay!
Yeah,
a new rider.
Yes, a new equestrian will be joining the world.
That is really fun. And this is your first child.
Yes.
Or human child, I should say. You have a number of chickens. And before we started recording, Raquel was telling me that her chickens try to come into the house through the doggy door, and that was cracking me up.
Yeah, they do. Those are the fur babies, but this will be my first real baby.
Very cool. And when are you due?
So I am due October 6th, which I believe is your birthday.
That's my birthday. That is a great day to be born, let me tell you.
Well, fingers crossed that happens.
Yes. Well, we're excited for you. And I know I've seen on Instagram that you're riding. So maybe you want to share with us what it's like to be riding as a mother to be.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I'm about, as we're recording this, I'm about 23 weeks right now, which is over halfway through the pregnancy. And, you know, you can read all the articles and everyone has different experiences. But so far for me, it's been a really easy pregnancy. And I kind of just assumed that by halfway through, I would only be walking. Fira is a very trustworthy horse, and I've kind of made this rule that I wouldn't get on any horse except for her, just because, I know her, and, obviously it's the risk of falling. It's not the riding that can be, dangerous. So I'm just, making sure I'm being extra precautious with her. And I know her moods really well. So if she's in a chill mood, which is 90% of the time, then we go out and we ride, and, I'm still trotting and I'm still cantering, which I kind of thought, and she has a really smooth lope and trot and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm still pretty comfortable riding because I just kind of told myself I'll stop when I'm, no longer comfortable, but so far, here we go.
That is really fun. I'm excited for you.
Yeah. So
in the future, we're going to maybe hear a little baby giggle. No, giggles. They don't giggle. What is it? Goo goo gaga.
Yeah.
Little baby noises.
Yeah. I'll probably
they could giggle.
Yeah. She'll be hopefully not too disruptive, but yeah, new exciting things. And speaking of, exciting plans and stuff, tell me, what are you up to this summer?
Well, as you know, and I think I mentioned in the last podcast, I'm releasing my fourth book, Marguerite, Misty, and Me, A Horse Lover's Hunt for the Hidden History of Marguerite Henry and her Chincoteague pony. And I'm thrilled that I'm actually going to be at Breyer Fest. And I was invited to do some book signing at Taborton Books. and that'll be really fun. I've never been. Our guest that we're going to talk to in a bit here, Lizzie, is an old pro, and she's going to tell us about Breyer Fest, which is in July. I believe it is the 14th, 15th, and 16th. And it's pretty cool. If you are unfamiliar or have heard about it but wanted to go, you don't necessarily have to go to Kentucky Horse Park, which would be ideal to be there and see it all in person. But they have kind of this way to participate virtually, so that if, like you, someone is on the other end of the country and expecting and maybe not up for traveling, they could still take part in all the fun festivities. So then after that, I will be going to Chincoteague Island for pony penning and the swim. And I'm going to be speaking at the local library there and doing a book signing and all kinds of good stuff.
That's exciting. So you've got a very equestrian filled summer.
Yes. And
as always, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, what could be about, I might not be able to ride as much as I normally get to. So, but my horse Knight will be in good hands. And when I'm away, I'm able to have some people help me out and hop on and make sure that he stays in work and happy.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I cannot wait to talk to our Breyer guest and expert today. And then we also have Taylor coming up from the Trad Equestrian, and she's perfect for summer because if you are showing, then she knows how to help you get all of those show clothes at an affordable price. So I can't wait to dive in.
She's an impressive person. And I will say that I have hanging in my closet a number of items that I was able to score from the Trad Equestrian. This is not sponsored, but I just really like shopping, and getting deals. So
that's great.
Great show.
Let's dive in. Taylor, a lifelong hunter jumper rider, is the founder and owner of Trad Equestrian, the horse girl's equivalent to the Real or Thread Up. Hi, Taylor. Thanks so much for joining us.
I am so excited to be here. This is like a little surreal as a Horse Illustrated fan to be on a podcast or anything related to them. So this is really exciting.
That's
and
awesome.
To do it with friends.
Yes, I know. For those listeners who don't know, I've met Taylor before. Susan and I are obviously friends in real life. So this is kind of fun when we get to have someone on as a guest that we all know.
Yeah, this is super fun.
Yeah. So we are just going to be talking about the Trad Equestrian today, which I think is very timely because it's summer. A lot of people are either starting their show season right now or they're getting ready. And I've used your services before to consign clothing. And I love it. But and Susan also is very familiar. But for those who don't know, can you explain the Trad Equestrian and how it works?
Yes. So we are a consignment and discount store. So we work with thousands of riders across the country to resell their items, their tack trunks, their closets, everything they might have. And we also work with brands and tack stores to sell discount items almost on an outlet basis. So we have a mix of everything, but for the most part, everything is discounted from retail.
That's awesome. And great prices for, like I said, if you're going to a show right now or, you just want some schooling clothes, but, you want to save and everything.
Great for kids too.
Yes, absolutely. What are some of the most popular items right now that you have a hard time keeping in stock?
We always have a hard time with breeches. So our higher end breeches sell sometimes within 1 minute of being posted on our website. So we have some of our people who are like stalking our site for Sam Shield breeches, Cavalieri Toscana, Struck, Four Horses, all of those brands just kind of like, we know the second we launch them, they're going to be sold within 24 hours. Right now, though, we have a ton of kids who are gearing up actually for summer camps. So all the moms that are like, I cannot wash these breeches every single day or these shirts, they're coming in and kind of getting more, a lot of carrots, breeches. That's 100% the kids' favorite. They are soft, comfortable. So that's right now what we're selling a lot of. We have been also our high-end show jackets have been selling really well, and a lot of them are really fun colors. So that's in store, really exciting to see them head out. We actually had a really beautiful Equeline brown with a lavender collar, and then some like tonal sequins along the collar, like just sold a couple minutes ago. So those ones are always kind of fun to see because, we hope they tag us in some photos so we can see them at a show wearing it. But yeah.
That's awesome. Well, jumping back to kind of the beginning of the Tread Equestrian, how long have you been around and what was your inspiration to start the company?
So I have been riding since I was 7 and grew up riding. I actually went to Fresno State. I started on a scholarship there for the equestrian team. After graduating, I had planned originally to go on to vet school and just decided that really wasn't for me. I ended up, I worked at a vet for years. I even worked at the SPCA there, worked for all these people, and they say you have to have X amount of intern hours. So I dove right into that. And the reason I want you to do that is because a lot of people will find out if they actually want to do it or not, which I found out I did not.
Yeah.
I ended up being very interested in the business side of it. And he was horrible at running his business. He was a great vet, terrible at running the business. So I ended up being in the office trying to get the business back on track for him, and was like, I think maybe I like this more. I don't really care about helping with, the surgeries and stuff. Anyways, after college, ended up doing a bunch of different things. I was actually working for a company. We handled a lot of the movie studios in the industry, being down in LA. That's what a lot of people do. And while I was working, my mom had just one day was like, hey, you really need to come clean your stuff out. When it was filled with all my show jackets, show shirts. Back when I rode, when I would have shown was, 20 years ago to 15 years ago. So everything was like very matchy. And I would have, the brown coat with the lavender pinstripes and then the matching purple shirt. And I went and looked through it and was like, I don't know what to do with this stuff. Goodwill didn't even really want to take it. And at the time, Facebook marketplaces actually didn't exist yet. So the only option really was eBay, which I always laugh for some reason seemed complicated. But then I decided to start an online business, so it doesn't really totally add up. But anyways, that's kind of what got me thinking. I started kind of deciding to figure out how to sell it. We actually originally started as a platform where individuals could post their own items for sale, and it was strictly like an equestrian marketplace. But after about a year and a half of basically telling people I'll just take your items for you and I'll post them for you and do all the work and everything, I realized that was more the direction that people wanted. And so that's kind of what it eventually turned into. And that's what we're still doing today. And I was for about 2 years doing this kind of on the side, the Tread Equestrian, while working my other job. It started in 2016. So in about middle of 2018, I finally left and was able to pursue it full time.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you do make it easy because I know I've used it, and Susan, I know you have as well. And I think that's probably the best part because, I do sometimes use eBay for bigger ticket items, but I know what you're talking about because I feel like I spend 10 to 15 minutes listing one, piece of, whether it's a saddle or something like that. It takes a long time.
And the other thing too, because I've done both, just like you have, Raquel, is what I like, Taylor, is that I know that what the pricing, because, it's hard to know because, when I bought this, hope no one in my family's listening, $500 show jacket, 5 years ago, is it still worth $500 or is it $150?
Yeah.
So it's nice that you do that. And then I haven't consigned with you in a while, and maybe Raquel, you were going to ask this, but is it still the process where we just reach out and then you send a bag or?
Yes. So from anywhere in the US, we're based in California, but we will mail you a consignment kit. It includes a large 24 by 24 shipping bag, a prepaid return shipping label. Like, I'm glad you guys said it's easy. That's my biggest goal. When I started this was I wanted it to be easy. People accumulate things. So, they fill up that bag. We actually have now, I would say, a majority of our shipments that come in, we can also email a shipping label, and you can use that on a large shipping box or whatever you want to send it in. And so after people use the bag once, we get a lot. They're like, oh yeah, that's definitely not enough. And they start sending us in just giant boxes. That's what our whole back room looks like, actually. So you can use, anything you'd like. We send you a prepaid label. And once it comes in, like you said, Susan, we have like a really structured way that we do our pricing. So every single time we're keeping a really consistent market for all items, and we reassess constantly. And that's kind of what has been, I think, probably our main focus at the company, is making sure we're pricing items right. Our goal is that items sell within 30 days. So like I said, those struck breeches and those 4 horses, we're constantly kind of gauging, like, is this the right price? Are they so desirable that they are really holding their value even used? And then other items that might be a few years older might have to have a little bit bigger discount. They've been on the market. Everyone's seen them. So, they're maybe not quite as desirable as that new style of struck breeches. So.
Yeah, that's so smart. And then also, if you don't consign, one of my favorite things is I will forget that I've consigned with you. And then when I get like my little email or like my PayPal deposit, and I'm like, yes, I've got some money. So that's also the best part too, is it's very seamless. And probably my only complaint would be that we need this in the Western world too, because the try to question is primarily English, and that's wonderful. But yeah,
when you do have the prettiest Western stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've considered going into Western, and with the pricing, like that was such a huge important factor for me. Most of the girls that happen to work with us as well are English based, so dressage, eventing, hunter jumper. And for us to go into Western, I really feel we have to have an expert on our team, and someone that can really lead that, would totally understand the pricing. I always joke and to be honest, I don't even know if this is right or not, but can picture someone coming in, letting me know they do reining, and me being like, oh, let me show you this sparkly, blinged out show set. And I don't think that's I think that's for pleasure. I'm probably saying this wrong, so I apologize to anyone I'm offending, but that's what I just wouldn't know how to help them as well as a hunter jumper rider, or our dressage pros could help our dressage customers and things like that. Right. But one day we will have dressage. Or I should Western, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe someone listening to the show will reach out to you.
That would be really cool. Yeah. It's been something on our list of, goals eventually, is to have a whole Western segment. So if anyone's out there, I would love to hear from you.
Reach out. Yeah. No, you do such a wonderful thing. And that's what, about knowing your market and stuff like that. Because it is hard to price things and, get them sold. And I think, especially in the world where show clothes are very expensive, and, maybe people who have kids that are thinking about showing, and, kids, sometimes they stick with it and sometimes they don't. So it's nice to be able to just buy some stuff that's used and still looks really great.
Yeah, definitely. And even I know for different riders that we work with, a lot of them, it might just be that they change barns and suddenly their new trainer doesn't like silver buttons on show jackets. And so all of a sudden they have these beautiful jackets that maybe just the one thing is the silver buttons. And so their trainer wants them, to switch to all, RJ classics. And so now it's out with the old, in with the new. And same for horse tack. Horses are so picky. Another great seller for us are bits. Horses can be so picky, and it just seems to be something that accumulates. But it is really great if you're trying to figure out, especially with a young horse or a new horse, what works for them. Try the bits used first, see what works. And then if that works, great. Or then you can start to, we carry a lot of expensive bits on our side as well, but you can start to then explore, into some of those more expensive bits and kind of the style that they seem to be liking. So I think that's a really fun use of it as well.
Yeah.
Another thing that I like about what you're doing, Taylor, and I feel like I've seen this on social media posts, is just, I know like we're trying to be gentle on the earth. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it is one of those things, like, my old whatever writing thing, you don't feel right donating it to a local place that might be trying to outfit people who are, trying to get jobs or get off the street and that. And then it feels gross to throw something in the garbage. But so I'm a fan of you and what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. And the nice thing is, I think what's something I'd love to also say, when you're not really sure if you are going to eventually wear something, or maybe you've taken a break from writing or showing, things do go in and out of style very fast. I will say that the industry has been changing so much. It is nice to, the sooner you can decide that you don't need it, you might not need it for a while, selling it, making some money from it. And then just in the future, knowing that, there is an option that you can always restock with, newer items at less prices from consignment or, whatever you choose to do in the future. But the sooner that you do choose to sell it, the more valuable it is. So,
yeah. So don't keep it in the back of your closet. Sell it sooner.
We have the people that, I'll see, I think on Facebook, things like, oh, I've been deciding for 15 years whether or not I'm going to get back into showing. And I think I finally have to admit that I'm not. But unfortunately, a show outfit from 15 years ago, I don't know if people remember, Tailored Sportsman's didn't stretch. So, the things have changed a lot. And so it is hard after 15 years to try to sell anything, to be honest.
Right. So. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Well, we love what you're doing. So go ahead and tell listeners where they can find you online and how to connect with you.
Yeah, so you can find me at tridequestrian.com. If you send an email to us, it will go to our team and they can always forward it to me. Also at Tried Equestrian, Instagram and Facebook. You can send us a DM there and we'll reach back out. And I'm super involved, so you can easily get to me.
No, that's great. Well, we will go ahead and put those links in our show notes. So listeners, you can go ahead and grab those links and look up Tried. And thank you, Taylor, so much. Yes, go shopping and sell things.
Thanks, ladies. This was so fun.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
With unrivaled performance and breakthrough equine technology, Exhibitor's color enhancing system is pH balanced, contains no harsh chemicals, bleaches, or dyes, and intensifies your horse's natural coat color, contrast, and shine. Champion dressage trainer and international Grand Prix rider Kim Gentry says, "The quick shampoo and quick conditioner are amazing. The formula is low sudsing, and with very little effort, it pulled the dirt and grime off the horse's coats without much scrubbing. I am impressed with how soft it leaves the horse's mane and tail. For professional show ring results, Exhibitor's formulas clean and maintain the magnificence of your show horse." Elizabeth Orris has been riding since before she could walk and now owns and operates her late mother's horse business, Hunter Spring Farm in Pennsylvania. Elizabeth's mother fostered her passion for Misty of Chincoteague and Breyer model horses, and Elizabeth has been a lifelong collector of Breyers, and she attends Breyer Fest every year. I am really excited, Raquel, for you to meet our guest, Lizzie from Pennsylvania. Hi, Lizzie.
Hi, Susan.
Okay, so quick backstory here. I met Lizzie last summer on the shores of Assateague Island because we were watching the Chincoteague ponies do their Monday morning beach walk during pony penning week. And it was really fun because we chatted and her dad was there. And so we were talking about all things horses. And I found out Lizzie is not just a horse girl, but she's also a model horse girl. And I was pretty fascinated to hear part of her story. So Lizzie, you introduced yourself to me as Misty Girl, or at least that's the name that I had on my phone when I was thinking of you. So tell us a little bit about your whole horse girl journey and specifically the Breyer part.
So I'm lucky trainer had to quit her corporate job to teach lessons full time and be available to me when I was growing up. So I got to grow up on a farm with horses, riding and learning all about them. And when I was a little girl, we were at the tack store and my mother bought me a Breyer horse that looked just like my first pony. And his name was Macaroni. And he was a fuzzy little Palomino paint. Came from, in those days, the penny savers. One of my mom's students had found him for something like $100 in the penny saver. And they bought him for me. And we had been to the tack store and there was a Palomino paint pony Breyer model that looked just like my pony Macaroni. And my mother bought it for me. And it was Misty of Chincoteague. And she'd read me the Misty books as a child. And, so I had Misty that we called Macaroni Pony. And that's sort of how I got into Breyers.
Cool. So the other fascinating thing I remember from our first conversation was that you said you were pretty young and first of all, I think you got to Breyer Fest the first time by saying that you were actually going to a horse show, like at Kentucky Horse Park with real horses. But then it was like, oh, and by the way, we're also at this model horse show. So if you don't mind recounting that tale a little bit.
So I collected Breyers. And of course, from that point on, it was Breyer, 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 birthday. What do you want? Breyers. Christmas. What do you want? Breyers. And days we had our desk. And one day I was on the home computer playing whatever horse girl games were popular in the late 90s, early 2000s, and looking on the Breyer website. And I saw the banner at the top of the Breyer website for Breyer Fest. I was like, Mom, can we go to Breyer Fest? We have to go. And she was like, of course, that sounds awesome. Let's definitely go to Breyer Fest. But here's the problem. My mother didn't really have the driving skills to drive us out of the small town that we live in. I'm not sure I ever saw her drive out of the state, let alone out of the 20-minute radius of our house. So in a very go ask your dad kind of way, she sends me downstairs to ask my stepdad, Alex, who was with me on the beach that morning that we met, if he would drive us to Lexington, Kentucky for Breyer Fest. And I run downstairs and I'm like, Dad, will you drive us to Lexington, Kentucky to the horse park? And he was like, yeah, sure. What are we going for? And I was like, Breyer Fest. He was like, you are out of your mind if you think that I am driving you all the way to the Kentucky horse park for plastic horses. No. I was like, well, Mommy said no. And she was like, I guess we're not going. So the other part of that story is that we had bought a miniature horse the fall before because I was 8 years old in 4-H years that year. And that was my first year of eligibility to compete in 4-H. And I had grown up watching her students compete. And I was so excited about it. And I fell in love with the miniature horse driving. So my mother found us a breeder that's local to us and bought me a miniature horse to compete with in 4-H. And we had bought him in the fall and learned all about driving over the winter. And we hadn't been to any miniature horse shows before the first 4-H show that was approaching. And the breeder, who got to be a very good friend of ours, called my mother up and said, hey, there's a miniature horse show at the Kentucky Horse Park in July. I think it'd be a good opportunity for Lizzie to show Shadow before her 4-H show. And she comes to me, she says, hey, go ask your dad. He'll drive you to Lexington, Kentucky. Dad, will you drive me to the Kentucky Horse Park? What for? A horse show with Shadow to practice for 4-H. Yeah, of course. When is it? So what we didn't tell him was that it was the same weekend as Breyer Fest. So that's how I got to my very first Breyer Fest. Was we found a real horse show at the horse park the same weekend. And of course we went down for the horse show. And then it dawned on him that we kept running off to the other side of the park for something, and he followed along. And there we were at the epicenter of plastic horses, Breyer Fest weekend.
Oh my gosh. So have you been going every single year since then?
I have missed
Or almost every
1 year, and it was the year that I was in basic military training for the United States Air Force National Guard.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for your service.
It's an honor to serve.
Okay. So, and then you transitioned to becoming a Breyer horse show judge. And I have to ask about that because I get like judging real horses, you know, if someone misses their lead or the horse spooks, but like if you have a class of plastic horses and they're all, I assume, behaving well, how do you judge a model horse? I'm so curious.
Well, all of my experience with showing kind of stems back to that first Breyer Fest where we drug everybody along to see all the sights, and that we went to the model horse show, and we were just astounded because we'd been showing real horses, I mean, my whole life, and we thought the same thing, like, how do you judge these plastic horses? So we found some local Breyer shows to us, and I got to do the children's division, and we met a lot of great people that really introduced us to the hobby. And what was really interesting about our first Breyer Fest and our introduction to the hobby was that my dad pointed out that this is not just a hobby for children. The bulk of the people in this hobby were young to middle-aged women with a similar story. I always wanted to ride, but my parents couldn't afford it. I have health issues or financial factors that limit my ability to participate with real horses. So they got me, you know, my parents, my grandparents, whoever, they got me a model horse. So these women are teaching us about Breyers, and I started showing and learning, and I've done some of the judging for some of the 4-H shows and, you know, introducing the kids. And what's interesting with the models is there's a lot of different classifications or categories that you can compete in. Now, one of them is the halter classes, and to talk about one of the most common divisions, it's called original finish. An original finish model is a model that is as it came from the factory, original paint, nothing has been altered about it. And to enter it in a halter class, you assign it a breed. So the first thing that the judge is going to look at is this horse the breed that you say it is? Now, I wouldn't take a model that presents as a thoroughbred and label it as a Shetland pony and place it into the Shetland pony class, because that's just not realistic. So the first thing they'll look at is, does this horse fit the breed that it has been assigned? And then the next thing to look at is the model's condition. Does this model have any broken ears, legs, tails? Does it have rubs and scratches on it? Because those are all things that take away from its presentation in the show arena for a model horse. And then because all of these models are hand painted, they will all have some variations. Some of them will have lighter shading or darker shading. Some of them will have dapples that are visible and others will not. Some of them, say a paint like Misty, may have nice, crisp, clean lines of their markings, and some of them may be smudgy. And those are all the little things that they'll look at. So you may have a class full of the same bay thoroughbred on the same mold, but they will all have slight variations. And that's how the original finish halter classes are judged.
That is pretty fascinating. Raquel, did you ever show your Breyer model horses?
I did not. I pretty much just played with them in my bedroom, and sometimes I took them outside, which would probably be frowned upon because we did have some broken legs from playing in the woods, and I definitely got in trouble when I broke my Breyer horse's legs.
I think is there a running stallion?
Yes.
I think I broke his leg by playing too hard with him. It's tragic. Oh my gosh. So how many Breyer model horses would you say that you have at the present?
Definitely.
Are you allowed to say?
Definitely over 1,000. But gosh. I haven't counted in quite some time. It really snowballed when my dad realized that there was really a market for this, not just as children's toys, but as collectibles, he decided that we needed to become Breyer dealers. So that actually is what he and my mother did, is they became Breyer model horse dealers. And I was their product specialist. I helped them pick all of Breyer's from the catalog. I helped my mom do the listings when we sold online with the descriptions. I helped her pick out what was popular and what was going to sell well. And they paid me in plastic horses. So my collection really just exploded during the time that we were dealers.
Oh my gosh.
So fun.
Was this child labor? How old were you during this era?
I think I was about 10 or 11 years old when we became dealers. And I don't know if I would call it child labor, because I don't think they could have kept me away from that process if they tried.
Yeah, that's my joke. I used to teach middle school, and I would, if kids wanted to help me do things, I would be like, oh, good child labor. I know it's maybe not the most politically correct joke, but anyway. Okay. So speaking of all of your models, I bumped into you at Land Rover. I don't know if I told Raquel this, but I bumped into Lizzie there, and you had just found a model horse that you've been looking for about a decade. So tell us about that.
So back to talking about, the molds and the conditions and the paint jobs. Oftentimes when a Breyer is released, the mold or the plastic statue without any paint on it, as is, will be named after the model it was designed after or what it is. So the Misty of Chincoteague mold has been one of my favorite molds for a very, very long time. It was my first Breyer and started my real love affair with Chincoteague and Ossateague and all things Misty. And there are quite a few Misty models that have been released over the years, either Misty of Chincoteague herself for different variations of Misty, or other paint jobs on the Misty mold. And I have the vast majority of them, save for maybe the one-of-a-kind special pieces that are, one of a kind and incredibly hard to find. But I had been in search of a four-eyed Misty model. And she's called Four-Eyed Misty because of the way that they did her markings. Her facial markings are a little bit different. She was produced for a short time, about a year or two is how long they produced that variation of the Misty model. And I'd never been able to find one, and I had wanted one forever. And she popped up on one of the sale pages, the model horse sale pages I'm on Facebook. And I'd missed out on several over the years. I'd been trying to track one down for quite some time. In fact, many of my hobby friends knew how hard I was trying to track one down, and they had their eyes open for me too. And I saw her, and I just messaged this woman right away. And I was like, hey, I saw your post. Tell me what, name your price. I need this Misty model. And, I'm very lucky that, there's always the joke with animal people and hobbyists of any variety, I'm sure, like, oh, don't tell my husband. Oh, I'll have to hide it so you don't see my husband. And, fortunately mine's great. And I saw her come up, and the lady gave me a price. And I said to my fiance, like, oh, I found the Four-Eyed Misty. And even he knew what Four-Eyed Misty was and how much I wanted her. I found her. And he was like, well, what are you waiting for? And I was like, well, it's a lot of money. And he said, is it going to affect your ability to pay your bills? I said, no. He said, is it going to affect your ability to take care of the children? I said, no. He said, well, why haven't you bought her yet?
I love that. That is a supportive, and he's not, he's a horse husband, but he really is a horseman.
Yes.
So he's not the horse husband of like just the guy that goes along with all the horse stuff. He's an inventor and farrier. And, yeah.
I'm a way better trailer driver than him, but it pains me to admit that he's the better rider of the pair.
That's cool. So one quick last question. And if someone has never been to Breyer Fest, maybe give a little explanation of what they could expect to find and maybe why they should go, even if they're not a hardcore Breyer hobbyist.
Breyer Fest is just such a unique experience. and you don't have to be a diehard plastic horse person to enjoy it. All day, BreyerFest is 3 days long, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and there are demonstrations in the covered arena all day, live horse demonstrations. Things that will fit the theme, which this year's BreyerFest theme is driving forward. So it's focusing on driving horses, carts, carriages, things of that like. So there will be demonstrations that fit the theme. There will be breed demonstrations. There will be drill teams. There's all sorts of awesome real horse demos to watch. And there's definitely lots of vendors, Breyer vendors, t-shirt vendors, book vendors, all sorts of interesting stuff. And it's a really fantastic community. My favorite part of BreyerFest is not necessarily the models, but reconnecting with my friends from all over the world. And the best part of BreyerFest for me is in the evenings after the official event is over. The host hotel is about 15 minutes away. It's called the Clarion. Used to be called the Holiday Inn North. So some old school collectors will call it the Chin, the Clarion Holiday Inn North. And we go to the Clarion. I have a room there. And everybody that gets a room sets their rooms up like miniature Breyer stores to sell, to trade. And you can walk through the rooms until wee hours of the morning, connecting with other people and buying models. And it's just one of the most interesting experiences. And it's a lot of fun. And even if you're not a diehard plastic horse person and you think you want to go to BreyerFest this year, I know that there's a horse trial going on at the horse park that weekend too. So you can watch some Breyer horses, some real horse demos, and go watch some eventing too.
And if you're an eventer and you can't get your significant other to go to BreyerFest, just say, honey, we need to go to the horse show at Kentucky Horse Park this weekend.
Well, in a very full circle way, I think that's how I convinced Blaine to spend the full BreyerFest weekend with me. Because in the past, he'd come down for a day or two. But yeah, I was like, oh, you coming to BreyerFest this year? And he said, oh, yes. Yeah.
You're competing. Okay. So if people hear this and they want to meet you or they want to come check out the Lizzie's shop at the Clarion Hotel, how could people find you?
I wish I knew my room number. I actually just got transferred to a new room because they're renovating the part that my hotel was in. But my married name will be Oris, and we will be competing under our married. I'm Blaine and Lizzie Oris, and we'll be over at the
Blaine and Lizzie Oris, the newlyweds at BreyerFest and competing and eventing. It's so great to talk to you, Lizzie. We feel your enthusiasm for horses of all kinds and furry and plasticky. And it's been a joy to talk to you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much.
I'm honored that you guys invited me to come and chat with you guys.
We'll see you at BreyerFest.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
Bye.
Bye.
No matter how difficult hair is to manage, Cowboy Magic Detangler and Shine instantly detangles all types of knots, tangles, and dreadlocks. Silk proteins help deep condition, penetrating below the surface while restoring moisture and strengthening hair, resulting in a high natural shine and soft texture. Cowboy Magic Detangler isn't just for your four-legged companions. Use it on yourself, too. It is allergy tested and dermatologist reviewed. When performance counts, turn to Cowboy Magic. Visit cowboymagic.com to shop. The ASPCA's Right Horse program brings us this month's adoptable horse, Atlas, a BML Mustang with the heart of gold. Today we are chatting with Amanda Stevens, the equine trainer from the Humane Society of North Texas. Hi, Amanda. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So tell us about this month's adoptable horse, Atlas.
Yes, so this special guy is a 20-year-old wild Mustang gelding that the Humane Society of North Texas rescued in October from a rather extreme cruelty case where there were deceased horses on site, and Atlas was one of the few animals that survived and was saved. Unfortunately, Atlas was in pretty poor condition. He had a very low body condition score, and his left eye had been injured and had not been cared for. So we needed to remove that upon arrival to the HSNT ranch. So we went ahead and did that surgery, and it went well. The recovery went great. And since then, he's put on weight, and he is now healthy and sound and doing really well.
That's wonderful. And thank you guys for getting him out of that, terrible situation as well.
Yes, it was pretty bad. And when Atlas arrived, he definitely was very fearful of the human. So we've done a lot of work and done a lot of training to help him build trust. And we do a natural horsemanship based connection training program at HSNT. So he's been in that program for a while now. We gave him some time to settle. And since we've been working with him, he has come so far. And when he relaxes and knows everything is okay, he absolutely loves to connect with people. And he has touched so many people already, just between all of our staff members and the volunteers that work at the ranch. He's got the most beautiful, soulful personality, and he really makes an impact on all who meet him. He's very special. And of course, we don't know his full history, except that, he was a wild Mustang at some point, and then he's had trauma in his life since. And now we're just really focused on helping him know that it's all okay and that we can take care of him and give him comfort now.
That's wonderful. Now, who do you think would be, since he is, and we'll put the link to him in the show notes. He's a companion horse, and like you said, he has a really good personality, but he just needs to make sure that he, is comfortable and feels safe. So who do you think would be a good fit to adopt him?
Yes, I think someone that an intermediate to an advanced handler that has experience with horses would be a great fit for him. Once he trusts you and knows that it's all okay, he really is very responsive. He just needs someone that is able to give him the consistency that he needs right now, as far as just daily handling, daily experience with each other, and he will continue to improve greatly. So anyone that has some experience that is looking for someone that they want to bond with and help along the way would be a great fit for him. He's very, very sweet, and we can't wait for him to find his forever home.
That's great. Yeah, I hope he gets that loving home. And for anyone listening who wants an adorable chestnut Mustang, Atlas is waiting for you.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda, for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. We really appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to our show. We want to hear from you. What topics are you interested in? You can find me on Facebook or Instagram at Saddle Seeks Horse. And Raquel is on both Facebook and Instagram too at Horses and Heels with a little underscore at the end. Don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you enjoy Barn Banter, please subscribe, leave us a review, and tell your friends so more horse lovers can find us. See you next month.
Horse Illustrated can be found at horseillustrated.com. For special subscription discounts on Horse Illustrated and Young Rider, just for podcast listeners, visit horseillustrated.com/podcast.